Well, hi. My name is John Munter from northern Minnesota. This is my farm, and I'm talking about the Gospel of Thomas again today. This is the Non-Commodity Library by James Robinson. And we began our series with talking about nursing at the breast of the Holy Spirit, going within, and doing it with divine love. That eventuates into a sense of the higher self that explodes into the light in saying number 11 and expands. And the disciples ask, well, how do we deal with this? And Jesus says that it's basically divine ecstasy. It's the radiance of the light that does all the work. In 14, basically it's about how there's no technique in terms of going out and healing people. It's the radiance of the light that does the work. In number 15, it talks about not worshiping anybody. Number 16, it talks about there's no religious expression particularly that's important. In number 17, no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, what no hand has touched, and what has never occurred to the human mind is what Jesus will give. And the disciples ask the natural question, well, how do we even begin to conceptualize that? And it's such a big thing. And number 18 tells us exactly what that is. The disciples said to Jesus, tell us how our end will be. Jesus said, have you discovered then the beginning, that you look for the end? For where the beginning is, there will the end be. Blessed is he who will take his place in the beginning. He will know the end, and he will not experience death. Well, it means actually the bitterness of death, as we learned earlier on. And number 18 is telling us that it's already in you. It's where you began from. So it's not a big deal. It's not outside there. It's something you have to accomplish. It's something that originated you. And so it's natural to you. The natural experience of that would be the expression of Genesis, where this was a big topic of Stephen Davies in his commentary. His continual refrain throughout his commentary is that Jesus is here talking about the first creation story in Genesis, where God made humans perfect, male and female, really an androgynous primal Adam. And then the second creation story is when the problems came. The fall began. We descended into matter, bifurcated into male and female, physically into matter. And Stephen Davies says we're trying to get back to that point. And so a key sentence of this is, he who will take his place in the beginning. And the natural question for that is, well, do we have to die? What's the deal here? How do we take our place in the beginning? And Jesus answers that, blessed is he who came into being before he came into being. If you become my disciples and listen to my words, these stones will minister to you. For there were 5 trees for you in paradise, which remain undisturbed summer and winter, and whose leaves do not fall. Whoever becomes acquainted with them will not experience death. Well, here we go again, not experience the bitterness of death. That these 5 trees in paradise, or 5 dimensions of paradise, are so ecstatic you won't mind dying. And that's one thing many commentators miss is, listen to my words, these stones will minister to you. Well, that means not creating bread out of stones and that type of thing. It means you won't mind being even stoned to death, because then you will experience the ecstasy of the higher world. One could well ask, what are the 5 trees in paradise? And it's been said, well, maybe there are 5 dimensions, maybe there are 5 senses. It's also in the Gnostic tradition, there are 5 sacraments that are given, and so these may refer to the 5 dimensions as well. If we look at string theory, we see 7 dimensions of string theory, and perhaps these 5 will add on to the physical dimension and the lower psychic dimension. Then you'd have maybe 7 dimensions there possibly. This Dogon shirt here, this is one of my favorite t-shirts. I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is the Numo fish. The Dogon in Central Africa, I believe, were once a cult group in Egypt, a mystery cult group. And you could even conceptualize the dimensions here on this one, where the Father brings together unmanifest energy in the tail of the fish, conceives it into the body of the fish, where you could conceive that as the mother. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The last dimension here begins bifurcating into duality. You see this little string here going out. Could be thought of as the string of string theory. And then the physical dimension up here, the bifurcation happens into the physical dimension, which is symbolized by the square. And these are the four, could be thought of as the four, the strong force, the weak force, electromagnetic force, and gravity as the four quantum dimensions that we conceive of. So this would be the mother, here the body of the mother, and this last dimension would be the sun, for possibly, and then the physical dimension here. And so you can see that also possibly in the universe. Ontologically, if you look out in space, you can conceive of the Father being outside of the universe. You can conceive of the Mother being the spirit of the universe. You can conceive of the Sun perhaps being the star system, the black hole system of the universe. That's 3. And then you have dark matter, which could be the ecstatic higher dimensions, astral dimensions. And then you have dark energy, which is 5 roots of different types of matter, which could be, say, the spirit of dark energy. So there's many ways to think of it, but I basically think that the 5 is referring to 5 dimensions. And the disciples would obviously think, well, gosh, this is so cosmic and huge. How do we even grapple with this? And that comes to the next saying, which we'll have to come to in the next session. Thanks for joining us, and you might see my book online, The Integral Gospel of Thomas Made Easy, and my website, www.themirroredbridalchamber.com. Thank you very much.